Welcome to This Day in His Story, created by American Heritage Worldwide. A reminder that every day holds something new to learn. Did you know that you are carrying the official motto of the United States in your wallet or pocket? Learn how the motto, "In God We Trust," was adopted to appear on our money during a time when many Americans wanted to emphasize the role of faith and moral principles in the nation's heritage. Learn that the phrase first appeared on coins during the Civil War era and later became a permanent feature on U.S. currency and first printed on paper money in 1957. Discover that today, "In God We Trust" appears on every denomination of U.S. currency and continues to be displayed in government buildings across the country, and invites us to think about how trust, faith, and values influence both our nation and our personal lives. So I want you to imagine pulling a coin or, I don't know, a dollar bill out of your pocket right now.
Yeah, if you even still carry cash, right?
Right, exactly. But if you do, take a look at it. Because we look at money basically every day, but we so rarely actually think about it. Specifically, we don't think about the four powerful words printed on every single piece of U.S. currency.
You're talking about "In God We Trust."
Exactly. In God We Trust. And that's what today's deep dive is all about. We are exploring this very specific piece of, well, his story.
I like that.
Yeah. We're digging into the fascinating origins, the controversies, and honestly, the profound spiritual truths behind the United States national motto.
Because it really is foundational. It's not just a decoration.
No, not at all. And the catalyst for us getting into this today is that we are coming up on a pretty huge anniversary, July 30th, 1956.
Right, a major milestone date.
It really is. So we're going to uncover exactly how this phrase went from a desperate, handwritten 19th century letter all the way to becoming the mandated core of America's national identity.
And I think starting with that 1956 milestone is so smart because a lot of people just assume it was always there, like George Washington put it there himself.
Oh, for sure. People think it was etched into the Constitution in the 1700s.
Exactly. But it wasn't. On July 30th, 1956, that is when President Dwight D. Eisenhower actually signed the bill making "In God We Trust," the official national motto.
Which is kind of wild to think about. It's a mid-20th century thing.
It is.
Yeah.
And Congress didn't just casually adopt it. They mandated that it had to be printed in capital letters on literally every denomination of U.S. paper currency.
Every single bill, which officially rolled out, I think, the following year in 1957.
Yeah, 1957, starting with the $1 silver certificate.
Okay, so wait. If that was 1956, what was the motto before that?
Well, officially, it was the 1776 Great Seal design motto, which was "E Pluribus Unum."
Out of many, one.
Right.
So this is basically the ultimate national rebranding campaign. I mean, think about it. You are taking a 180-year-old nation's core identity and completely shifting it.
Yeah, from a focus on, like, political unity to a declaration of spiritual reliance.
Which begs the question, why? Like, why was it so crucial for Eisenhower to aggressively push this in the 1950s?
Well, the source text points us to a really telling speech Eisenhower gave in 1954 for Flag Day. He was talking about adding "under God" to the Pledge of Allegiance.
Oh, right. Another big 1950s edition.
Exactly. And his explanation was that by reaffirming the transcendence of religious faith, the country would, and this is a quote, "strengthen those spiritual weapons which forever will be our country's most powerful resource in peace and war."
Okay, spiritual weapons. That's an intense phrase.
It really is.
Because usually, we view religious faith as comfort or a moral guide, but he views it as a weapon, an actual strategic resource.
Well, you have to remember who Eisenhower was. He was the Supreme Allied Commander in World War II. He knew physical warfare intimately.
Right. He knew tanks and bombs.
Exactly. And yet, during the Cold War, with all its nuclear anxiety, he's essentially saying that the nation's true defense, its most powerful resource, isn't the military. It's this spiritual grounding.
It's like armor for the national psychology.
And that's a perfect way to put it. By printing it in all caps on paper money, it was a deliberate, tactical way to just constantly remind every single citizen of their most powerful resource. Every time they bought groceries, boom, there's the reminder.
Wow. But, okay, let's step back, because 1956 is when it hits the paper money and becomes the official motto. But that's not the actual beginning of the phrase, right?
No, not at all. To find the real roots of this, we have to go back almost 100 years earlier, right into the absolute nightmare of the Civil War.
So we're talking 1860s now.
Yeah, specifically 1861. The country is completely tearing itself apart. And devout citizens actually started writing these impassioned appeals to the Treasury Secretary.
This was Salmon P. Chase.
Exactly, Salmon P. Chase. And these citizens are basically begging the government to recognize deity on the national coins.
Because the nation is literally fracturing in half, and they feel this desperate need to publicly acknowledge God's protection.
Right. They realized that the country's physical currency was the best way to declare this reliance. And Chase completely agrees with them.
He does. I actually have the letter he wrote right here. It's dated November 20th, 1861. He writes to James Pollock, who is the director of the Philadelphia Mint.
And listen to how absolutely definitive Chase is in this letter.
Yeah, he says, quote, "No nation can be strong except in the strength of God, or safe except in his defense."
I mean, that is just completely unambiguous.
It really is. It's a statement of absolute fact.
Yeah, he's basically saying the safety of the entire country depends entirely on God's defense. Full stop.
So Chase gives Pollock his marching orders, but he gives him this amazing design constraint.
This is my favorite part of this story, honestly.
Right. He tells Pollock to put this massive spiritual truth on the coins, but he has to use, quote, "the fewest and tersest words possible."
Because it's a coin.
Yes.
You literally only have a tiny little circle of metal to work with.
It's like Chase was asking for the ultimate 19th century tweet, or, an elevator pitch to encapsulate a whole nation's faith.
Exactly. And that severe constraint is what birthed the exact phrasing we know today.
In God we trust.
Yep. And this unofficial motto first rolled out on an original 2-cent coin, which was created under the Coinage Act of April 22nd, 1864.
So right before the end of the Civil War. Just think about holding that 2-cent coin in 1864. It wasn't just money anymore. It was a national declaration of reliance right there in your hand.
Absolutely. It was incredibly profound for the people living through that trauma.
Okay, so the motto gets introduced. The public loves it. It gets them through the war. But then we hit the early 1900s.
Right.
And suddenly, there's an absolute national meltdown over this motto. What exactly happened in 1907?
Well, the government released this brand new, beautiful $20 gold coin. But they made one massive glaring change. They completely removed "In God We Trust" from the design.
Wait, they just took it off? Why?
It was a stylistic choice, basically.
Yeah.
But the public did not see it that way. The source material shows there was a massive public outcry. People were furious.
I mean, you can imagine. They had formed this deep emotional connection to the phrase for over 40 years, and some official just deletes it.
Exactly. The citizens saw it as abandoning their core strength. They completely revolted.
And here is the incredible irony of all this. Today, if you can find one of those error coins from 1907, the ones missing the motto, it is a massive collector's item.
Oh, it's worth an absolute fortune.
Right, because it lacks the four most valuable words in the nation's history. The mistake is what makes it so rare.
It really is ironic. But that outcry was so intense that the government had to backpedal immediately. The citizens demanded their trust in God be recognized publicly.
So what did the government do?
In 1908, Congress essentially surrendered to the public and passed a mandate requiring the motto to be on all metal coins.
They locked it in by law.
Yes, and they rolled it out fast. By July 1st, 1908, it was back on all gold and silver dollars, half dollars, and quarters.
Okay.
Then in 1909, they put it on the 1-cent coins. And finally, by 1916, it was standardized on the 10-cent coins too.
So by 1916, it is everywhere on the metal currency, which sets the stage for Eisenhower to put it on paper money decades later.
Exactly. It's this continuous building momentum.
But, despite this massive 150-year history of support from both the government and the public, the motto is still under attack today.
It is. Constantly.
Our source text goes into this. Modern critics are always trying to get it removed, claiming it infringes on the so-called Establishment Clause of the First Amendment.
Right. They try to argue that having it on money is the government establishing a religion.
But when you actually look at the facts, from Salmon P. Chase in 1861 to the public uprising in 1907 to Eisenhower in 1956, it is completely clear that the motto is foundational. It's our heritage, not some legal infringement.
I completely agree. And the source text points out that these modern attacks just bounce off because the history is so deeply entrenched. It's quite literally set in stone.
Set in stone? You mean on the buildings?
Yeah. It's prominently displayed right above the rostrum in the U.S. House of Representatives.
Oh, wow. Right in Congress.
Exactly. It's on federal buildings. It's engraved into national monuments. The physical engraving reflects the permanence of the truth it represents.
Right. You can't just erase over a century and a half of profound national truth because of a modern legal theory. It stands strong.
It does. And, as we move through the physical history, the coins, the paper bills, the monuments, the source material does something really interesting here.
What's that?
It shifts focus from the physical locations of the motto to its ultimate intended destination.
Meaning our hearts and minds.
Exactly. Because at its core, the message is about trust and reliance. The money is just a vehicle to keep that trust in our minds.
And the source aligns this directly with Scripture, right?
Yes. Specifically Proverbs 3.5, which says, "Trust in the Lord with all thine heart, and lean not unto thine own understanding."
Lean not unto thine own understanding. That really echoes what Secretary Chase was saying back during the Civil War.
It absolutely does. It's a profound contrast. You have the immense, infinite strength of God on one side, and our limited, flawed human understanding on the other.
Right, because human understanding fails. I mean, look at 1861, or the Cold War. Human solutions were literally destroying the world.
Exactly. Secretary Chase realized that leaning on human understanding wasn't enough to keep the nation safe.
So, taking this all the way from the 1860s right into the present moment, the source material explicitly asks us to reflect on this personally.
It brings it right home.
It does. So I want to bring this directly to you, the listener.
Right.
What does it actually mean to you to trust in God?
Not just as a historical fact, but in your actual life.
Exactly. And why is trusting in God important to our nation and to ourselves today?
The source highly encourages having this conversation out loud.
Yeah, actively share your thoughts on this with a family member or a friend today. Take this deep dive out into the real world.
Because that's the point, right? To not just lean on your own understanding, but to actually engage with this truth.
Completely. So let's recap this incredible journey.
Let's do it.
We started with the realization that the official national motto on paper currency was actually an Eisenhower mandate in 1956, just in time for this upcoming July anniversary.
Right. To arm the nation with spiritual weapons.
Then we tracked it backward to an 1861 letter during the bloodiest war in American history, where the Treasury Secretary declared that we cannot be safe without God's defense.
And we saw how the physical limits of a coin created a masterpiece of a motto.
The fewest and tersest words possible. We saw the public completely flip out in 1907 when the motto was removed, forcing the government to standardize it everywhere.
And we've seen how it stands absolutely strong today, carved into our most important institutions, despite modern criticism.
It really is amazing. Every single time you handle cash, you are literally touching a piece of his story.
You are. And I want to leave everyone with one final thought to mull over, based on the text.
Please do.
If Secretary Chase was right, and the source argues he absolutely was, that a nation cannot be strong or safe except in the strength of God, how does constantly carrying a physical reminder of that truth in our pockets actually change our behavior?
Oh, that's a great question.
Right. If you have this profound spiritual truth sitting in your wallet, how should that change the way we treat one another in both peace and war?
That is a phenomenal thought to end on, because it takes it from a motto to an action.
Exactly.
So look at those 4 words.
In God we trust.
Remember the chaotic, incredible history of how they got there, and think about what they mean for you today. Until next time. Thank you for joining us for this day in his story. May the lessons of yesterday inspire you to see God's hand today and to play your part in his story now. For more faith-based learning, visit ahsworldwide.org, the homeschool for faith and family.